Hey, what's up? This is Spider Prime 1, finally back with another Transformers video review. And since it's been so long and I've missed quite a bunch of things, I figured for my big comeback, I would take just a however long this video goes look at Transformers Siege, Earthrise, and Kingdom. And just kind of give my general thoughts on the gimmicks of each line as a whole, certain figures in particular that I like more than others and reasons why, and just different things that all pertain to the current toy line. Because as of today, it is September 17th at the time of recording. So Kingdom is still in swing. We've still got some stuff that's still, I think it's like, one wave or two waves left to come out before Kingdom ends and we go to whatever the next line is going to be. So yeah, I just figured I'd just share my collection, my current collection, as of today, current collection, and just, ramble for a little bit, as I am wont to do. So, let's just turn the camera here. So yeah, War for Cybertron Siege. I remember when this came out, I was actually pretty stoked for it. These two guys actually right here, Hound and Fire Drive, were my first figures for this line, and they were actually Christmas presents. So that's also just a fun little bit of speciality for these guys. And it really kind of sold me on it, because I originally was kind of like, I was being kind of money conscious at the time, and I wasn't really wanting to hardcore go back into Transformers, and we see how well that worked. But these guys kind of really sold me on collecting more than just an Optimus, a Megatron, and a Starscream, because I love the play pattern of the Siege line. I loved all the little nubs all over the characters' bodies that would fit the blast effects. I liked that all of their weapons could also incorporate the blast effects, whether it be on the nub or they would be the right size to fit in the gun as opposed to on the gun. I thought that was cool. Oop, and his little blast effect came off. Put that back. There we go. I did like that each weapon came with different blast effects, so that way you weren't just getting the same thing every time. I liked that they basically brought back the they call them weaponizers, but what were they called? Target Masters. I like that they brought back the Target Masters and kind of gave them a new lease on life. And I've never had any of the original Target Masters, so I don't know if like they had the unileg or if they actually, could separate like this. But I like how these guys turned out. I like the ball joint legs, the ball joint arms, and I like that their weapon can come off, and then he's got little ports on the side of his arms, so he can actually fire his own gun if you don't want to have him transform into a gun, and then once again give him the blast effects. So I thought that was cool, so that way you didn't, he wasn't just a gun. Because these guys were sold separately, so they could be their own little bots with the added bonus of also being a weapon. So we'll pop that back together. Put him back. Oop, I didn't put his legs together first. I've been out of this for a little while. There we go. Then we'll plug his arms in. And plus, they're fun. They're fun little itty bitty transformations. Just super quick, super easy. And then they would become weapons for the bigger guys, which I really liked. Another one of the ones that not just I myself, but a lot of people really liked was the Optimus Prime. He was a really, really close spitting image to the old G1 animation model, G1 toy. I like what they did with the putting the wheels up in the chest. I thought that was an interesting piece of just an interesting flair on the body, because then it would still give him the cut look for his chest, but then from the side it still gave you something to see as opposed to just being a gap like his backpack. But one thing I didn't quite like about this figure is the way the shield worked. Only in the arm, or like plugging it. When you plugged it in vehicle mode, it just did not stay. It would not stay. And then if you wanted to keep them all concise, I would keep it on the gun, and the gun's port is awful. It's terrible. But I do tend to just leave it in his arm. So it's not that egregious. Plus, an accessory never really kills a figure for me. I'll touch briefly on the Cybertron Seekers, because they were cool. We did finally get the Tetrajet in the official Hasbro line, or as close to a Tetrajet as we were going to get. I didn't like specifically for Thundercracker, but it happens every now and again on my Starscream too, that since this ends up on the back of the jet mode, it's frictioned in, even though it has holes for a pin to go all the way through. It's all just friction, which, I mean, that's kind of a good thing, because it is all clear plastic, and you don't really want that, just snapping the first transformation. But it's just a bummer, especially with Thundercracker. He, right out of the box, his chest popped off, and it really doesn't hold in very well unless you finally put it in robot mode or finally put it in jet mode. Just swinging on the arm, it does not stay. Another thing I like that Siege did is they kind of brought like very obscure characters to the forefront, aka Spinister and Skytread, or Flywheels as he was originally known. I like Flywheels better as a name, even though it doesn't quite fit, because treads. But it's nice that since Power of the Primes we got Battle Trap, and now we have Flywheels. It's nice to have the two of them back. And I do like that they can cross combine, so you can swap their legs and torsos. But it is kind of a bummer that one of them is two separate robots and then the other one isn't. And then the other gimmick for Siege that I thought was very interesting were the weaponizers. Now, I'm not going to take him apart and attach him to a figure. I may do that later in a different video. But I liked the weaponizers. I thought it was very interesting. And I liked that they were, at least for Siege, they were all figures that came with cities. So this guy came with Fort Max. Six Gun came with Metroplex. And then Brunt, who I don't have, goes with Trypticon. So it was kind of cool that like all the weaponizer dudes were all from the cities, which I believe outside of Brunt, these two were characters that came with the original G1 cities. But it's cool that the big weapon guys are, from the city bots. So I thought that was a neat little added bonus to the fact that they all can just explode into a series of weapons. One of my favorites from the Siege line is Ratchet. Oops. Move you out of the way. Ratchet was such a good figure. I do also have Ironhide. I do also like Ironhide. But just the added fact of I don't know, I just want to call it an arm. The extra little detail of having the arm on the back makes it so much more intriguing to me. Kind of like the MCU War Machine. How the gun on the back was kind of an AI'd turret. I kind of see this as like just a little dude attached to Ratchet that like could tell him where a fallen bot is on the battlefield so that he could rush over to it. I don't know, just extra play value, I guess. But yeah, the transformation of both Ironhide and Ratchet is very fun, very easy, very simple. I like the added little bit of just the notches right in here, and then the big bar on the inside of the windscreen, where for vehicle mode you push it all the way up, and he's kind of got a little flat boxy chest, but just bringing it down ever so slightly angles out and makes his chest a little more dynamic. I really like that. I don't know, it's just really cool. And I like his head crest a little bit more than Ironhide's. Ironhide's is a little too stylized. So yeah. I think that's all I really have to say on Siege. Siege was very cool. I'd have to count out the amount, but I think I have a little bit more Siege than I do Kingdom. I almost forgot. Siege also did the little 2-pack micro dudes that would turn into the vehicles and then could also combine into a gun. These also were a gift, otherwise I really wouldn't have any. They just never caught my interest really, and after messing with these guys, I still don't really have an interest in them. I mean, the gimmick is cool. I like the modes that, at least I like the modes that these two turn into. But I just, the weaponizers were a little bit better than these guys. So because they were a gift, I happily accepted them, and I keep them with the collection. But I don't really do the weapon mode for them. I just display them in bot mode, and that's about it. So here, we'll move on to Earthrise. And Earthrise, as you can see, my Optimus Prime is taller. It's because he's standing on the trailer. We'll talk about him first. A lot of other people have done the whole comparison between the Siege and the Kingdom, so I'm not going to bother with it. You all know about it by this point. I do like this one for different reasons than I like the Siege one. I do like that this one's, obviously more closer, even closer than the Siege one was to the animation model, the G1 toy, blah, blah, blah. I don't mind the wheels in the back. They really don't bother me. I like the gas tanks in the legs, even though I keep forgetting to pull them back out for truck mode. I like this blaster a lot more. I like the fold-up gimmick and putting it on his back. The only thing that I actually don't like on this guy is the articulated fingers. I feel like at some point I'm gonna break them. And I don't know. I liked just having the 5mm port hands that the Siege one did. I'm not too big on the opening hands for this guy. I know it's because of the Matrix, so that he can hold it, but I could have done without it. so that way I don't feel like at some point I'm just going to snap his hands. And one thing that they got rid of, or that they changed, so for this guy, his arm flies out like this, so it's all in here. I actually kind of liked how the Siege one had the little flap, and then I am not on screen. I like that the smokestack came up on its own little flap, and then his shoulder kind of stayed in place. I don't know. I just kind of like the engineering on this a little bit better than just having the whole arm raise up, which admittedly does make more sense. That's how shoulders work. But I don't know. I like the ingenuity of having the shoulder stay and then the flap on the outside. I don't know. Pros and cons to both. I also didn't mind paying the extra little bit just because he comes with a trailer. I like getting trailers for my Optimus Primes. I only have this one, the G1 version, and then the one that they did with the Dark of the Moon Deluxe Optimus Prime, which I think this is a slight retool of. I could be completely wrong, but I think it's, they're pretty close. Actually, no, they're not. What am I saying? One opened like a canopy and the other one splits in half. But yeah, I didn't mind paying the extra $10 to just get a trailer with my Optimus Prime. It really didn't bother me. What I don't like, as good as the Starscream, Thundercracker, and Skywarp all look, I don't like that they sacrificed, the waist movement and a lot of other playability with these guys just to homage the old classic Seeker mold. It's cool and all, but I don't like the way that the forearms transform. I don't like losing out on waist articulation that the Siege ones had. Pulling these two tabs, like stretching the plastic to get him around to just to transform him, scares me every time. I feel like those are also going to snap because they feel very thin and very brittle. And then once they snap, he'll never keep his stability in his chest. I like the leg transformation, though. The leg transformation actually is a great improvement, as opposed to just having accordion legs, or slidey legs. But yeah, I don't know. I like the way he looks, but I don't like the way he plays or transforms. If we could have found a perfect middle ground between the two, I would have been perfectly fine. I like that Earthrise brought back the Decepticon clones. I wish they would have brought back the Autobot clones, and I think they did that in Japan as an exclusive. I can't remember. But I only remember seeing those. I don't remember seeing the Autobot ones getting re-released outside of Titans. But hey, at least I have them, and I have both, and I didn't get the Walgreens set that had one Decepticon and one Autobot. I like having at least two of the same, whether it be cons or bots. I love the Cliff Jumper. The Earthrise Cliff Jumper is really good. I do have the Buzzworthy Bumblebee version that came in the big 4-pack, which is just this exact mold with a Bumblebee head and painted yellow. So Bumblebee isn't the VW mode that the Netflix version is. He has the same alt mode as Cliff Jumper. But that's fine. I now have a Bumblebee in the same scale. I don't care. I think they're both fine. I like the giant gun, which only really fits Cliff Jumper, but I love Sunstreaker. I know he's a slight remold of Wheeljack, but I got Wheeljack in Kingdom. I missed him in Earthrise, so that's why he's over with the Kingdom guys. I think Sunstreaker pulls the transformation off better than Wheeljack. With Wheeljack, I have problems getting his hood to come up to form his chest before dealing with the legs. And I also like that Sunstreaker got rid of the extra bit of windshield in the leg that you have to fold down for robot mode and fold up for vehicle mode. I like just having the flat windshield chest, and not having to worry about possibly losing or cracking or breaking the windshield pieces on Wheeljack. But I did still buy the Wheeljack because I like Wheeljack as a character, and I wanted to have a more updated Wheeljack, since I think the last one I got was Prime from a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. I like that Earthrise decided to keep doing the weapon things, but started doing it with bases. This is the only one I have, sadly, just because the other ones were very hard to find. In my area, this was the only one that I ever saw on shelves. So this is the only one I have. I love... I looked up the old toy and stuff like that. I love that he just has a hook hand. That's funny to me. I like it. And I also just like, having a miniature base former as opposed to, having to get the giant cities. Granted, his base mode does not scale with any of them, but as far as I'm concerned, scale between Transformers just is a non-point to me. Having a car and a truck that are the same sized robots, whether or not the alt modes actually would be the same size in real life, doesn't bother me. Mass shifting is a thing in the Transformers world, so why not with their alt modes too? I'm going to get this wrong. I believe this is Run Amok. Let me check my list. I have a list of all the names, so that way I wouldn't forget. Yes, Run Amok. I got it right. I love that they incorporated the wheels on the bottom of his feet to be a throwback to his G1 toy. I love the face. The face is great. I do have the TFCC version of Run Amok, which is just a remold of the old Wheeljack. But, I still very much enjoy it. And I think that one actually uses the Wheeljack mold because the wings are rounded. I think Trax was the only one that actually got wings. Everybody else used Wheeljack's little stub wings. But yeah, I like that they redid Runabout and Runamuck. I would have loved to have found a Runabout to go with him, but that's just not a possibility at the moment because he's so expensive. But yeah, he's still a good toy. The only thing, I don't really transform him that much because mine has no clearance when he's in vehicle mode, so he doesn't roll at all. So I just leave him in robot mode, and that's perfectly fine with me. Let's see. That's about it for Earthrise. I didn't really go too hard on Earthrise. I saw Skylinks a couple times in my local stores, but I have the Combiner Wars version, and that's good enough for me. So yeah, I didn't really go too heavy on Earthrise. I got my Seeker Trio finally all in the same line and size class. I got one of my favorite Autobots. I like the niche characters for the Decepticons. I got one of the guys that was the gimmick of the line. And then picked up the 2-pack because I missed them the first time around. So yeah, Earthrise just came and went. Not a lot of it really tugged at me. And then Kingdom, which was, let's push out the last couple of Autobots and Decepticons that we didn't really get to do in Earthrise, and bring back Beast Wars. Now, I am still not that big of a fan of Beast Wars. I can't sit through the cartoon because of that animation. I know the writing is good. I know the characters are good. That animation, I can't sit through it. I am sorry. But I have always liked Optimus Primal. I've always liked the T-Rex Megatron. However, this, even though it is one of probably the best T-Rex Megatrons to come out officially, no, not third party or anything like that, one thing bugs me, and I actually don't transform this guy very much because of that one thing, and I'd have to alter him in order to get him to do it without problems, and that is these flaps on his tail. These ones, and then the ones that connect to the main body. They stick out through here, and on this side too, just a little too far, because when it's, transformed into T-Rex mode, they don't want to have gaps in the beast mode, so that you're not seeing, cuts in his skin, which you end up seeing anyways, because of his chest and his neck. But because of this, I actually, on one, I can't remember which side, but trying to get it to transform back into Dino mode, I ended up stressing one of the bits, and I don't like that. That upset me greatly, because I was actually really looking forward to this Megatron, because he's a really good figure. He's really posable. I love the updated T-Rex mouth. I like the red eyes. I love the articulation of the figure. I love the head. The whole thing. I love it. I just don't like that they did all of his beast mode stuff in rubber when they didn't do it to anybody else. They only did it to him. And that just upsets me greatly. But yeah, I'd actually have to shave off a good amount of the rubber on both sides, on this side and on this side, if I want to transform him back to T-Rex mode. Or buy a second one, transform him, and then leave him in Dino mode, which I'm not going to do. But yeah, that was so disappointing for me. Because then it's like with Primal, he's all plastic, and it's really good looking plastic, and I think does a better job concealing a lot of the robot mode stuff in beast mode better than Megatron. If they had just done him in plastic, it would have been fine. I don't like the rubbery bits. It truly upsets me. Just because now I don't want to play with him. I just want to leave him in robot mode and just let him sit there. Whereas Primal, I will transform back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, because he's fun to transform. And yes, because I bought the 4-pack, I do have the Nemesis Primal. I will do a video on those at another time. But yeah, he's actually one of my more favorites. Huffer is another one of my current favorites. I love this guy. He makes me very happy. And I love that he has a riot shield that has a little window that works. But yeah, all in all, I think Kingdom and Siege were my favorites for figures. But like I say, Earthrise I just kind of passed on. I like the core guys. I only have Optimus, Megatron, Starscream. I don't like Optimus that much. He doesn't really stick well together in robot mode. Megatron and Starscream are perfect. I love them both. They're great. And I love that it gives you a little gun Megatron that you can give to any of the bigger guys. Trax is good, but could have been a lot better. I love Warpath. Galvatron is great. Ultra Magnus was a little bit of a letdown. I don't like his truck mode at all. I've only transformed him once and then put him back in robot mode and just left him there. Yeah, his truck mode was very disappointing. I don't like that you can't, turn the cab when you can with Optimus. I don't know. I may have to play around with him a little bit more. But I'm glad I got the Kingdom version, not the Siege version, because I like the Earth mode truck a lot more than the Cybertronian truck. And then Cyclonus was also really good. I like Cyclonus as a character. And then having, all three of them is actually really cool. I do want to get the what is it, Commander class Rodimus Prime, but he's too much at the moment, so I'll have to wait. But yeah, I just figured I'd talk about these guys. That's, I think, all I really have to say on these. A lot of these are really good figures. Some of them not that good figures, and others so close to perfection. But yeah, so I'm Spider Prime 1. I will come back with another video, hopefully sooner than 2 years. But until then, I'm signing off.